Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Here again today, live. Shift Hub topic for today is really about sustainable capital, and I cannot wait to dive into this with you. Just want to say, if you're joining me live, say hello, introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, and what do you do? So I go live usually every Wednesdays around about this time just to talk about a topic that is really burning in my mind or that I feel is really kind of emerging in the media at the moment, and it's important to talk about. So I really feel like talking about the four areas of capital is so valuable because sustainability has been evolving for a long time. It's gone under various different names. It still goes under, various different ways. People associate it with the idea differently. And so really capturing kind of the four areas that sustainability falls across is so important. I guess for a long time, we looked at it as the triple bottom line or the three pillars, the three Ps: people, profit, planet. And now sustainability, or for a while really, has come together under these four areas that are most important, where there's kind of a nexus of four different streams of sustainable thinking. And those four streams are social capital, human capital, natural or environmental capital, and economic capital. And the idea here is to bring together these four streams of thinking that will allow businesses and communities and individuals to kind of build a more harmonious, sustainable existence with each other, and that there's consideration for how we can be more regenerative in our design and in our thinking, and how we can be more distributive as well. So it ties in really beautifully with, well, I guess really that's where these other ideas have emerged from, such as ESG and corporate responsibility, the circular economy, the donut economy. They all kind of touch on these ideas because it really sits at the heart of sustainable thinking. And sustainable thinking is really about holistic thinking as well, which is why we need to be considerate of these four areas if we want to effectively build a governance framework or a strategic roadmap that will help your business transition through this space. So really an example of a business who is thinking about these four pillars of sustainable capital is looking at profit and growth, but it also cares about its employees. It's looking at how can we be reasonable to our employees, have reasonable pay and salaries and benefits, and also educate them, empower them to do better, to grow in their roles. That we are caring about the community, we are connecting with our local community and our customers and engaging with them on a kind of a deeper level to really understand what is most important to our stakeholders. And that's not just the stakeholders such as the investors or the kind of the big decision makers, but also the community, the individuals, the ones who we interact with kind of in a regular basis through our products or our services. And then, of course, respecting the environment as well kind of is the underlying thing as well with all of this, is how can we be more respectful to our environment and value the capital that nature brings to us? Because if we're not valuing natural capital, I touched on this last week, then nature can no longer continue to sustain the things we need, because we're just depleting her of everything that she has given us for so long, which is access to so many raw materials that feed into our healthcare system, our educational system, our housing system, our food systems, really everything, our business systems, our economic models around the world. So these four areas of capital are so important to think about in your business. I'm going to talk through each of them just in a little bit more detail. So the human sustainability pillar is really the value of human beings, right? And what is important to them. So the things that are important to us are some of the things I mentioned already, but it's food and water, health, education, justice, fair working conditions, development of our skills. So human capital is really focused on nurturing the human component of our organization and the society, so the wider community that we interact with. And examples, as I said, I mentioned those ideas which are really important to human capital, but having systems in place within your business that address these areas of capital. So really committing to some of the UN SDGs essentially as a business that touch on human capital will show that your business is valuing these people, these humans that are a very close part of making your business a success, and therefore you're valuing them by giving back through these ideas of support, or these concepts of support around food, water, health, justice, and so on. So human capital is different from social capital, and I will kind of explain the differences in a little bit more detail. But I just want to sort of touch on the fact that human sustainability, it's a key element to your business's success, because if you're not backing the employees within your business, the suppliers within your supply chain, the communities or the clients or customers who support your business, then their happiness or their viability in this entire ecosystem really kind of falls away quite quickly, and they no longer feel hey Thangam, thanks for joining, they no longer feel the urge or the desire to keep supporting your business, because they see that the human capital point of view is low, it's lacking in your business. So humans play a key and important part. So thinking about this in particular is really important. The next thing is social sustainability, right? The social element. So in terms of social capital, it is more around people's systems. So it's not about that individual human as much as it is around the social system. So it's looking at the well-being of the group. It's looking at cohesion. How do they interact with each other? Is there equality? Is there diversity in the social systems that you've created within your business through employment, but also through your interactions with the community? Are you part of developing a thriving society within your business or through your business work? And are you valuing all of the relationships that your business creates through its interactions? So social sustainability is really around the well-being of the community at large. And so this is where it sort of differs from human capital, which is much more individualistic in its thinking. Social capital is a lot more around the community or groups, or communities of thinking, really, communities of practice, which comes into play in social sustainability. So in terms of, the social pillar, this support of this pillar is really around how can you create a community or across your communities that support your business. How can you create better, deeper relationships that pride or uphold their well-being, that look at holding their well-being while respecting the environment. So your business needs to contribute to many more programs that are part of developing the community, part of improving the social well-being within your business, part of changing the culture within your business. So social sustainability, I think, also really touches on business culture, because that is a kind of a community at large, and it's not just about the individuals. And I don't know if what you think, but I know that when I've joined a company, their culture is very much intrinsic, and it's very much embedded into the way that they make all of their decisions. And if that culture is, negative or not open to new ideas, or closed off or isolating, whatever that may be, that is a problem with their culture, then that problem will certainly translate into many of the things that the business does or doesn't do. And so thinking about changing business culture is an important part, I would say, of social sustainability, where we're looking at the community within the business. Now, this one's an interesting one, the next pillar, which I want to talk about, which is the economic sustainability one. So, people get focused on the fact that the business needs to be profitable, and this is what the economic pillar is all about. But it's about making profit while delivering value that is also conscious of its impact on the social and environmental systems around it. So it is complex. I've never ever said that this area is not. Kind of sustainability in general is just such a holistic concept and idea that there is no way of thinking of things in isolation. There is so many moving parts. So the economic pillar, as I said, it is about being profitable and thinking about the environment, but it's also about delivering true value. And that value might sometimes mean clothing businesses, for example, taking a very progressive stance in saying, actually, we don't want to encourage you to buy more of our products on Black Friday. I've seen that. It's on I've seen it on Instagram with a couple of really great businesses that I follow, and they said, no, we don't want to encourage you to buy more just because it's Black Friday. We just want to wish you well. We want to say, think about, your consumption consciously on a day like this, and leave it at that. So that's where this idea of true value comes in. It's about sometimes saying we want to give you value, and that value might also mean not just continuously buying from us so that we can make another dollar. It's about thinking consciously about your consumption, thinking about your impact through your choices in the market. And that's how we're going to bring value to you. That's how we're going to build our economic presence, but through a more conscious lens. So it's a progressive way of thinking, because for so long, business is about growth, it's about expansion, GDP, it's just an ongoing linear process. And we know we can't do that anymore. It's just not feasible. It's not viable. I mean, there's only so much in terms of resources that the earth really has to give us. So how can we change that? It's about thinking about this pillar, this economic pillar, through sustainable principles of thinking. I think that really, to summate what economic sustainability is focusing on, is it's really about how do we improve the profitability of our business and improve economic growth, but also look at the resources that we draw upon, also looking at the human and social systems that we impact, and thinking about how can we continue to improve the standards of living in the communities that we interact with and serve, by also being a profitable. Really, B corporations are a good example of businesses closely thinking about the economic pillar. The final pillar, and probably the pillar that most people think about when they think about sustainability, is the natural capital, either natural capital or environmental capital, whatever you want to call it. But the idea about natural capital, which I did touch upon last week, is about nature and its resources, so biodiversity, and the ecosystem, and how we are drawing upon these resources, and how we can look at more circular systems of thinking that don't just use and dispose, but they actually look at the hierarchical process of bringing these resources back into the system, because they are resources, they're not waste. We realize now this idea of waste is actually outdated, that everything has value, and it has value for much longer periods of time than we've really allowed ourselves to believe, because we've thought the only way to make money is to keep taking more new resources and creating more new products in order for our business to grow and expand and make money. But that's no longer the case, where we're seeing that we can take these products as a one-off, newly extracted from the environment, create a new product, and then get it, after it's been used, get it back to either be upcycled, reused in another product, recycled, upcycled, so many ways of kind of bringing this waste is typically seen as waste item back into the system and creating a circular, regenerative, distributive economy. That's ultimately what the environmental capital pillar is about. It's really just minimizing the leakage of waste, essentially reducing the piles of rubbish, what we've seen for so long as rubbish, in waste deposit sites. What are they called? Landfill. Seeing those landfill piles go down, and that's really what the environmental pillar is about. So that is the 4 pillars of sustainability, and it's so important for businesses to start thinking about all of these things in conjunction. And I think, concepts like ESG, concepts like circular thinking, they certainly bring these ideas together kind of into one place, one governance framework of thinking and acting and doing. But they need to be clear, they need to be transparent, they need to be measurable, and they need to certainly have integrity. So there's that accountability system in play. The business are not just saying, hey, we're going to do this, but we're actually holding our CEO accountable. We're holding our corporate suite accountable for driving this forward. These are the people who are leading it, they're managing it, and they're implementing these actions that we are committed to. So it isn't just a fancy, shiny report. It is much more than that. It's a roadmap towards a much more lower impact, conscious, sustainable operation that is considering the 4 pillars of sustainability. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any thoughts, any questions, if you're watching this at a later stage, you can hashtag replay, say hello, reach out, and I'd love to chat with you about this. But otherwise, if not, have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.